This episode of the Everything Matters podcast is brought to you by BeLegendary.coach, where we transform leaders into legends. Are you a senior leader, entrepreneur, or executive looking to take your leadership to the next level? Are you dealing with things such as imposter syndrome, concerns with whether or not your leadership is lingering long after you've completed FaceTime? Looking for new and innovative ways to connect with your team and to gain buy-in from stakeholders that you deal with on a daily basis? If any of this sounds like something that you're dealing with and you would like to take your leadership to an extraordinary level, your effectiveness to a legendary level, visit BeLegendary.coach. That's www.belegendary.coach and schedule your free performance analysis today. Today's guest on the Everything Matters podcast is a gentleman by the name of Jarrett Thomas. Jarrett was born and raised in the Bronx borough of New York City. Early on in his life, at 20 years old, he became a young father. And becoming a father at such a young age is one of the major events that shaped who he would become in life and the level of responsibility that he would take on in creating a career and a family. Jarrett is what many would call a personal branding expert. He works with groups and individuals on identifying who their personal brand is, and he's a trailblazer in this space and is a huge inspiration for people being who they are authentically in and out of the workplace. He has a genius marketing mind and is totally committed to providing access to people and images that will inspire a new generation of leaders and future CEOs. Jarrett also hosts his own podcast, More Than a Title, and you can find it on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and all the other platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. So please join me in welcoming Jarrett Thomas, an amazing guy with an incredible mind and someone who's committed to being a contribution to everyone with whom he comes in contact. Jarrett, welcome to the podcast, my man. Let's get it popping. Jarrett Thomas, man, what's happening, brother? Welcome to the Everything Matters podcast, bro. It's been a journey. You know, I tell people all the time, bro, like managing a podcast, and I know you have your own podcast, right? And we're going to talk about that as well today. You know, the biggest challenge for me, bro, is just really getting busy people on a calendar and getting them scheduled to be on a podcast. It's crazy.
It's the craziest thing. It's so hard, man. It's so difficult. You've got the system, though, man. I'm just in the DM sending emails. I need to put a system in place, bro.
You're making it work, though, bro. You're making it work, man. So I appreciate you, bro, again for being here and you know, and for coming and sharing what you got to talk about. I think you have a huge voice, man. You have a lot to share, a lot of value that I'm excited to give to the audience that's listening for us, and just again, man, excited about the conversation. So
appreciate you, brother.
I got to call out the elephant in the room first. Now, I'm just saying, I know you're a New York cat, right?
Yeah.
You know, I know you're a New York cat. You live in New York. You know, I think you were born and raised in New York, but maybe there's some Chicago connection. Like you got the Sox hat on today. You got to explain what that's about, man.
All day. First of all, I love the Yankees, but this is the best hat for me. I love the logo, and plus, my favorite player back in the day was Frank Thomas.
Ooh,
back in the day, the Big Hurt. So, you know, JT,
no
Jarrett Thomas, you know what I mean? That was big.
Absolutely.
So that's the reason. But I just love the logo, man. I love the black and white.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I love the Sox too. And sometimes I do get caught up into the colors. Maybe it's the font, you know, it's the mascot. You're like, you know, I got stuff that I ain't a big fan, but I'm like, I just love the way it looks, you know?
Exactly.
And you know, and I know you're all into personal branding, so the look and feel and all that stuff is a big part of what you do, right?
For sure.
So awesome, man. Awesome. So brother, again, a lot to talk about, man. And one of the things that you do, Jarrett, that you're big on personal branding. So it's kind of an interesting connection that you and I have because, you know, being a performance coach, I work with people on knowing who they are first, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And once you know who you are, you can take them over and hey, okay, now that you're clear about who you are, let's brand that. Let's push that out to the world to show them what you're about, right?
Totally true.
So talk to us about personal branding real quick, man, and just tell us, you know, actually, you know what? I don't want to go there yet. Let's talk about being born and raised in New York. A lot of people, I'm sure, that's going to listen to the podcast know about New York. I visited New York only once though, bro. I've only been to New York one time, and I kicked myself. I got to come back, bro. I got to come back. So where'd you grow up? What part of New York did you grow up in? What was your experience growing up? I know that you probably had some exposure to basketball. It's a big part of New York.
For sure.
Had to have some exposure to hip hop, right? I think you had your stint with rapping and things like that. So tell me about what it was like for you growing up in New York, man.
Man, it was exciting, man. New York is such an interesting place because there's 5 different New Yorks. Each borough, man. Every borough is its own thing. I know cats that lived in the Bronx all their life, never been in Brooklyn. Like, that's just how it is, man. So, like, right. I lived in a community called Parkchester. I have my mom, my dad. I have 2 older sisters, older brother. So I was the youngest. I'm a little big brother. Went to Catholic school all my life, man. My neighborhood was pretty calm. It was still wild out there, but, a lot of love there. I played basketball all my life, had scholarships early, played for Scanlon. Could have had St. Raymond's, Mount St. Michael. Man, I was one of the top 8th graders, was averaging like 25 a game. It was crazy, man. And then I got to Evander. I got kicked out of Catholic school, being a me.
right.
Being a 13,
you were branding yourself then, right?
You know it, man. Brandon. I was like, got my ass out of it.
Right. Exactly.
Man, I had a spot on the team automatically. But I'll be honest with you, man. Junior year, I didn't go to school. It was my first time in public school from Catholic school. I had nobody, overseeing me, forcing me to go. And I was the new kid in that public high school, the girls and everything else. It just took me over. But what I did was senior year, I had to do 2 years in 1 year. So I had to do my junior and senior. I was in school from 7 in the morning to 8 at night just to graduate on time. Mama Love told me straight up. She said, "You don't graduate. You getting out of here." So things got real. I had to man up and did it, man. And after that, man, I took a little break. I was like, man, after all that school, I can't go to college. And then, my first kid at 20, man. And that's what that changed my whole perspective. Wow. Man, it made me grow up. And that's how I got into digital sales. And from there, just, got on the journey, man.
Wow, dude, you had your first kid at 20, man. I thought I was a young pops, man. Yeah. I had my first one. I had my first one at 23. So, right there with you, man. Yeah. Talk about that, man. I mean, that is a lot of people, like I have friends who waited till they were like 30 to have their own kids, you know what I'm saying? And some had theirs early like me. Everybody has their own path and their own journey that they take. So what was it like for you, man? And I know fatherhood is a big part of who you are. And I know we've talked about that and how important our families are to us. What was it like for you, man, being a young dad, bro, and having that responsibility, upon yourself so early?
It was scary, brother. But and I had big shoes to fill. So my pops worked, 27 years, 2 jobs from 7 in the morning to 11 at night. That's where I get a lot of my work ethic from. So he bust his tail to put all us through Catholic school and showed us the right way. Always never got in trouble, never complained, did all that. So at 20 years old, man, I'm working at Starbucks, where, barista, waking up 5 in the morning. And I'm like, damn, man, like, what am I going to do? I'm nervous. I don't know if I'm doing the right things, man. And it was just crazy. But once I saw my boy's eyes, man, it changed my whole life, man. That's where I started the story, man, where it was like, I was on Indeed every night. I put the story on LinkedIn. That's the one that kind of went viral. And I started going, applying. I got a hospital call center job. I go in there, there's a recruiter. And then he's like, yo, I like the way you talk, fam. Sell me this pencil like straight out of Wolf of Wall Street. Okay. I literally said the same line that he used in the movie because I just literally watched it like a week earlier.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, cool. Said that to him. He's like, man, I like your vibe, I like your energy. Come to my office. Went to his office the next day. We made a video. He sent it out to a client because he was a recruiter. And next thing you know, I got my first chance in digital marketing. And they going around the room, man. That's my first time having a salary. So I was going from barista to salary. I'm like, I am not letting this go.
Right.
So
that's right.
Going around the room. I'm from Yale. I'm from Buffalo State. I'm Jarrett Thomas from the Bronx, from Evander Childs High School, and I'm going to be a top seller here. I told him, I don't know what the hell made me say that, bro, but that's a true story. Shout out to my boy Tommy McMaster. He'll vouch for it. He was the coach.
That's what's up.
And they looked at me like I was crazy, man. 6 months later, I was the top dude there, bro. And that's that work ethic, and it just taking me from there, bro. So that's my son, man. It was everything. If it wasn't for my son, I probably wouldn't have had the extra effort to go to extra call. Everybody's leaving out at 5:30. I'm staying at 5:35. I'm staying to 6.
Right.
Hitting
that's right.
Prospect. And that's what it was about, man.
Man, that's awesome, bro. Incredible. Going from a 10, 12, 13, $14 an hour to getting that consistent salary, right? Without having to work extra. Well, you still worked extra hours because you had that work ethic, but just having that consistent income makes a big difference, man. So, when you were sharing that story, bro, I'm thinking like you was like Kobe Bryant And, you know, and LeBron, dude, coming to the NBA, like you didn't have that college degree, the Yale, Harvard, all that kind of stuff. You're like, hey, but I'm about to shake up the world.
That's it.
Where does that confidence come from, man? To be able to go into a situation like that, you know, brand new, you know, no experience, and just go in there just ready to kill it. Where'd that come from?
Bro, to be honest, is where I'm from, man, because that's who we are in the Bronx, man. That's how we are in New York. You go play, like you said earlier, I played basketball a lot. So you hit the park, you want to be the best baller, man. It's fights that happen, it's this, we talking a lot of smack. It's all that, and it's just always wanting to prove people wrong, man, especially where I'm from. Like, for me, man, I was the black sheep of my family. My whole family, all my families were teachers. My brother's a teacher, my two sisters, my girlfriend's a teacher. I was the one that said, nah, I'm not going that route. Like, I know what the earning potential is there. I'm just going to bet on myself, man. And if I had to work 2-3 jobs to make what they were doing at one point when I was working at BBQs and Starbucks and all these places. And that's what it was, man. And when I got a shot, I just didn't want to go back. And I'm just like, man, I'm just going to outwork the heck out of y'all. And I know I'm going to learn it. I'm going to put in the extra hours. I'm just figure it out. And if I fail, at least I know I tried. At least I know I tried. And I could go sleep at night with that. So that's where that, you know, that comes from where I'm from. My family, like my family, we're from the bottom, man. It's not, you know, I'm a shining example in my family right now. There's a lot of brothers and my cousins and all that stuff that are doing stuff, you know what I mean? But to see me doing it, they like, all right, they getting their stuff together. They like, they proud. And that's what means something to me, bro. So that's what I love, man.
That's awesome, bro. Being an inspiration to other people, man, it's great. You know, there's a pretty good age gap between you and I, and I'm not going to tell my age. I'm not going to tell your age. Let's just know there's a little bit of a gap, you know. But as you talk about growing up in the Bronx and that whole experience for you, actually, with me growing up in a little small town in Louisiana, it was the same kind of culture. Like you wanted the competition, bro, and it's the competition that made you great. It's like you wanted to outdo the cast that was older than you. Like we would go to the YMCA to play basketball on weekends, dude. And what we wanted to do was to play with the older cats. We wanted to show them, and we belong, right?
That's it.
Like we got game too. And that competitiveness, man, made something. It created a fabric that we had to really put us in a position to deal with the world, because that's what the world's really like, right? You know, and I feel like it's something that is missing with the younger generation is that tenacity, man, that competitiveness, that grind that it takes. And that's not to say that all young people don't have grind. I see a lot of them grinding, right? No doubt about that. But I feel like it's something that's missing, man. You know, so I can appreciate where you came from, bro. That's huge, man.
Yeah, man. And that's another, to even add off of that, bro. Like you said, man, like look where we come from, bro. Like, how could we not give it our all in business, man? We've been in real situations. I've been in real situations that I got to go outside, man. I gotta see this dude. I gotta do this. I gotta go up the block. Yeah, the bus stop is right here, and they looking for me. And it's crazy stuff that I've been through in my life. Thank God, man. But we survived it. We went through it. So when it comes to hitting a quota or doing something like that, man, I'm blessed to be here. Blessed to be here.
Indeed, bro. Indeed, man. Awesome. So I want to talk about, you know, what you're doing. We mentioned earlier about your commitment to. What do we talk about your commitment? We talked about how you're into personal branding. So I know you've had an extensive corporate career working for other companies, and you've also had stints where you just did your own thing, like you were an entrepreneur. So you got an entrepreneur spirit. Sure. Talk to us about, like, what does personal branding mean? When you tell somebody you got to have your own personal brand, what does that even mean?
It really, what it means is, what do people think about you when you're not in the room? It's just your resume. It's just your reputation. That's all it is. And people kind of misconstrue that with confusing that with an actual brand. And it's like, no, it's just you, man. Like, me and you have a relationship. 2 years from now, you're going to be running a Fortune 100 company. And it's like, yo, me and Bradford, we connected on that level. Who knows what opportunity that leads to, you know what I mean? For both of us. So that's what I look at. I look at just relationships. So when I first started, I was at a place called iPullRank. It was a small agency. And I was tasked with going after the enterprise brands, the Nikes, the Ubers of the world. And I'm like, bro, I'm tired of playing the game. I can't send these 1,000 emails out to these people, because my mind thinks, if I get one meeting, what about the 999 that think I'm a jerk?
Right.
What does that mean for your brand? So I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be a smarter, more effective way to do it. So I've reached out to the CEO, and I'm like, man, how are we generating leads? How are we generating revenue? Mostly through referrals, mostly through Twitter. He's in the circuit. He creates content. Light bulb went up. Bing. Oh, okay. You doing that? It's not these emails. So I'm tired of playing the game anyway. And if I could be myself and show people who I am, show them I'm the father, I'm this, the brother, loving person, genuine, you know, who I am, then people may want to throw me a bone and I could be more successful. And, you know, through the grace of God, man, first week I started there, I just went downstairs every morning, me and my sales partner, and we would just put our phone out and just pick a topic. Parenting, Kobe passing away. It could have been SEO, it could have been whatever it was, but, you know, inspirational stuff, whatever. 2 months later, man, we're going to get chicken parms in Manhattan, and people are like, "Oh man, that's Jarrett and Lee." And I'm like, "Oh," I looked at my boy. I'm like, "Oh, now we got something. We got something now." Like, I never had that. Yeah, I never had that in my life, and that's kind of what happened. I ended up closing a huge deal from that. Then the pandemic happened, so my whole entire pipeline just evaporated. I went from, "Yo, Jarrett, we're about to close," to, "Jarrett, I don't know if I'm gonna have a job next week. Just keep in touch." So I went to the CEO, "Man, what are we going to do, man? You've got the Twitter. I've got the LinkedIn going. It's trending in the right direction. Let's get potential buyers on the podcast, chill with them, get to know them, and hopefully, you know, the relationship turns into revenue." And that's what we end up doing. So throughout that time period, I did end up doing like 53 episodes of Rankable. We had the CEO of Revolt, SEO of Advanced Auto Parts, CEO of Rap Snacks. Van Jones shouted us out. We had like so many cool, dope people, man, that was just all organic. And when we actually added the drop-down menus to the website, a lot of the new leads, man, everybody was saying they came from Rankable. They came from seeing the brand. So that's why we knew, like, it started to work out. So long story short, I ended up leaving there and I just continued with it. Right. So I didn't have the ownership of that podcast. That's something I learned. So if anybody who's listening, if you do it for a brand, read your contract, whatever you do, whatever you create on their computers, their systems is theirs. So that's just what it is. So that's why I started the More Than a Title, because now I own the content. Now I can do my own things. I can be flexible. And then I presented those things to, you know, to our brand, and you see, you know, generate stuff. And it's the best part about it, and what I love about it, is that, you know, you're having an impact, but there's no tie to it. There's no metric. I can't go to the CMO and be like, "How many people saw Jarrett with the hat and went to go put an application? How many customers were like, 'Man, he's really good,' or bad," or whatever the case may be. So you know it's an impact. And how I judge my impact is the DMs. The people who come in and be like, "Man, I'm rocking with you." And the random people from Germany or France or somewhere. And it's like, that's what I do it for, man. And because I didn't have that, man. I didn't have the young 22. Like when I was 22, I came in, I thought I was scared to do this. Scared to do this. There was nobody that looked like this. And I'm like, man, do I fit in? Do I fit into this space, man? And it messes with your mental, especially as a Black professional. You know, you're working twice as hard. You're going through the motions. And then, to be honest with you, once I changed and started being this, everything took off, man. People started being more comfortable around me. People started like, they want to go hang out. We want to go get beers. Let's go get coffee. And it gives them permission to be themselves. And you know what you're going to get. It's not no ulterior motive. You know, I'm not going to bait and switch you, hit you with some stuff and all that. Like, no, if it works, it works. If you don't, I don't need your business. I'd rather have your relationship, because another year from now, who knows where you'll be. I'm going to sell you now. Let's build a relationship. If you like me, let's work. And that's what my whole philosophy is. And that's what's taken off, bro. So everything's been organic. Everything's been love, man. I've taken a lot of calls after hours that led to nothing, but I've built with people. So when you see me get engagement, that's what it is, man. It's people who call me at, 8:00 at night, man. I just want a little bit of sauce. I want to hear how you did social media, man. Yeah, man. I give it for free. Here's it for free, because nobody gave it to me, man. So that's what it's about, bro.
Dude, that's really, man, it's a blessing, bro. You know, how you inspiring so many people. I mean, I've watched several episodes of your podcast, More Than a Title. Yeah, man. And, I think your content's amazing. The people that you get onto the show are, the reason I like it is because it is about performance. It's about people who are doing big things, people who are in major situations, but then you get a chance to see the human aspect of it because of what you bring to the table. You said something, you pointed to the hat a couple of times, and you also brought up something that I think is critical for anyone listening, no matter what color, creed, religious, whatever you are, is that this image that people have, it's like as human beings, we just judge people, man. Like we're judging and assessing all the time. And it's just a part of, I think it's natural. It's like, and of course the media doesn't help with that, because the way it portrays certain people and the way that they're supposed to be, if he's wearing this, he's probably dangerous. Or if he does this, he's probably racist. See a bald head white guy, he's probably a skinhead. You could be the nicest cat in the world. Like, you just don't know. You got to give people access and give them an opportunity to get a chance to know you, man. So, for you, being in a corporate space, right, and being you, and I know one of the words that you use a lot is being your authentic self, right? So when you're being your authentic self, man, like, what are some of the things that you had to deal with in just stepping out, like having the courage to just step out and say, hey man, this is who I am. Like I rock my socks out every day. I wear t-shirts, I wear jeans, I wear Timbs, whatever it is, that's how I rock. Like I'm going to produce, and how did you become comfortable with that?
To be honest, I'm gonna give credit to the CEO of the agency, Mike King. Shout out to Mike, man. But basically, he sat me down one day, man. And I was like, man, I was going there with the cognac, wing tips and all that. With the, you know what I mean? I was doing all that.
Right.
And him coming in with the Jordans and Air Maxes, man. I'm like, man, what's up with that? He was like, yo, be yourself, because if they don't want to buy this, chances are they weren't going to do business with me anyway. So why are you afraid to be yourself, man? And that's one piece of advice that always stuck with me. So we was in a small organization, Black-owned agency. I just felt myself. He's hip-hop, I'm hip-hop. I could just be myself. But when I made the transition to Hootsuite is when I really was like, let me just test this in the corporate waters, man. And the responses was just crazy, man.
Yeah.
When I first got to Hootsuite, bro, I'll be honest with you, we on global town halls. I'm saying the only one rocking the hat. But then as you see more people come on, man, you see them to the side, you see them to the dance. And I'm like, yeah, that's love. I'm not saying I did anything crazy, but I allowed people to be themselves. This cat can do it. It means something to me. And I've spoken to several Hootsuite people, man. It was like, man, thank you for giving me the confidence, because you doing your thing, man. Now I can be myself and I'm more comfortable. And that's when I perform the best. So shout out to everybody at Hootsuite, man. Like they made me feel so special because I was just nervous, man. Like I'll give you a perfect example too. SMW. So I'm sitting there, I got my outfit laid out, I got the cognacs, I got the Jordans. I'm sitting there looking at the couch like, damn, which
way am I going to go?
Do I come with myself? Or what if I see somebody who knows me from LinkedIn? If I come with the cognacs, that's kind of fake. So I'm like, all right, but how will the CMO, how everybody view me if I come in and I'm standing by a booth with some Jordans? I just said, know what I'm going for. Got there early, man. Nobody beat it an eye. But what everybody noticed, I got more traffic and attention, not talking about the brand, but talking about my sneakers. There were so many social media people and VP, those kicks are fire, and da-da-da. By day 2 of the festival, we was having sneaker wars.
Wow.
People coming in with the Travis Scotts, you coming in with this, and we just congregate, and it builds relationships. And guess what? Yeah. You know what we do at our brand. You know our name. And if you really want to, who are you going to come to? The dude you just had to bear with, a dude who feels like you and resonate with you. So that's what it was about, man. And the fact that they let me do that, they could easily said, take your ass home, sir.
Right. Real talk.
Not what we want. But
it's not what we do.
Right. It's not what we do. And I give them so much credit, man. They said, be you, be yourself, man. This is what we want you here for. And when I spoke to Darren too, shout out to Darren. He said, come here, be yourself, man. That's all I want. And I said, cool. Melissa was like, give it a try. I said, Melissa, I'm going to give everything a try. So when I do it, don't want to hear nothing.
Right. Exactly.
I'm going to give everything. I'm going to shake the face. And it was just love from there, man. And you know what we did, man. We did a lot of stuff in there, and it was just love. Indeed. So grateful for the experience.
Man. Awesome, brother. Awesome. It's for me, it's like I've gone through a whole range, of like being a young guy in the professional world. This is a while ago. So, there were certain things that was expected of you, right? Especially if you were a Black man. It's like you want to come in there, you got to be a couple notches higher than everybody else in there. If somebody else is wearing a shirt and slacks and button and shirt open, you wearing a tie. Like you just dressing at that next notch, right? And one of the things I've gotten comfortable with in my personal brand is that this is who I am. Like I'm on the podcast. I get on my podcast. I might wear a little tie, a little loose shirt, vest. Sometimes I might wear a sports jacket. When I get off the podcast, bro, I'm throwing on my throwing on my New Balance, you know what I'm saying? Throwing on my little golf, my tight pants, and I'm just kicking it, right? And I throw my hat on and kick it to the side. And I think that's really what, like, you can be anything, right? It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to do it, man. And one of the things you have going for you is you're a great communicator. And you can see that the communication and your ability to build relationships is what works. Like if people can get past the facade, not even the facade, it's like the look of something. If you can get past that and just have a conversation with somebody, man, just talk to people. It makes a huge difference. I'll tell you about this quick experience I had the other day. Mm-hmm. My wife and I were at we were downtown Duluth here, not far from where we live. And there was about 8 or 9 young Black kids running around, one girl and like mostly guys, right? Some of them had afros, a couple of locks, just looking kind of rough, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that's probably how I looked at that at that age, And if you don't know that these kids probably come from good homes, they're well-mannered kids, you would just judge them and keep moving, right? So what I did was I got it from the dinner table. We finished eating, and I walked over there and said, "What's up, guys? What y'all up to?" Started talking to them. And after they were surprised by it. They don't expect that from us, man. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted them to see, man, I love you guys, bro. Like I want y'all to I want you to know that there's opportunities out there for you that you have access to, man, because of people like me, because of people like my parents, because of the people that came before all of us. They've created a pathway for you, man. So after about 5 or 10 minutes in that conversation, Jarrett, man, those kids are open up. Yeah, I played football and such. Oh, right. What jersey you play? What position you play? Oh, I play safety, man. I play this, and we opened up a whole new world for those cats, man. So that's what I'm committed to, is making a difference with people like that, man, in a way that they can just be themselves, right? And it's like, hey, you know what? I don't have to be a certain way. People can still love and accept me, man. So I acknowledge you for being that, man, for people and giving people the space. Yeah. It was everything.
It was the why, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I had a conversation with my mentor about it. So once I got the advice from the CEO, I told him, I'm gonna start going on LinkedIn like this, man. He's like, oh no. What it's gonna do is limit your opportunities. It's gonna do a list.
Exactly.
Like you said, we've always been told success is a certain way. But if you look at they got LinkedIn commercials running right now with people with the froze, people with this, and they say define professionalism. So if they're pumping that, why aren't we pumping that, right? So like at the end of the day, man, like I want the young 21-year-old to be like, yo, bro, he's from the street, and I know he'll come to the block, and I know he can do it, bro. Come to the schools. Like I'm doing stuff in the schools right now, man. Like that's what I love, bro. It's the why. To who said we can't be this? Right. And guess what? I'm gonna be so committed to prove your ass wrong. So our kids, my kids, they could come in and be whatever the hell they want, man. And that's what I'm so passionate about, bro. If I got to run through the ringer, if I get effed over or whatever happens as a result of this, I'm cool with it. I can live with it, but I know I gave it my shot.
There it is. It's conversations, man. And that's what this podcast is about, is, conversations that propel performance. And just by having a conversation and connecting with people, bro, so much stuff becomes possible just by a conversation. And putting our judgment to the side. Just put it to the side. You can have it back if you want it. Just set it to the side for a minute and just let the guy talk for a minute, right? See who he really is, and then if you don't like it, you can take your judgment back and put it back on. It's all good, right? No word. Sure. So, all right, man. So I got to go back and talk about, we talked about being in New York and, me being from Louisiana. There was a lot of influence of New York rap, Big Daddy Kane, Biggie, of course, coming through, and all the just, Redman and Wu-Tang. I mean, it's so many cats, man, that come out of New York. I mean, it was the heart of hip hop, right? So I'm a big hip hop fan. And then it took it a while for it to come down to, for it to really like make its way down to where I live. It went all the way west, and it came back down to Houston, with the boys over there. What's his name? Scarface and those cats. And then, Ghetto Boys. And one of my homeboys, ESG, shout out to ESG right now. One of my homeboys that I grew up with, became a big rap out in the Houston area, man, and big in that region. So, you said you was a rapper musician, man. Tell us about that, bro. So what did you do in rapping,
Yeah, so I was doing that when I was 14 years old, man. I was battling people everywhere, every borough, man. I won a few awards for like underground rapper, lyricist of the year. Like, so that was my escape, man. That was my escape. So when I was doing all I was doing and all that stuff, man, just getting that release and just going to the studio. I live like 5 minutes away from the home of hip hop, 1520 Cedric with Kool Herc and all them.
Okay.
All that, man. So like, that's what I did, man. I had a group, TNT, Thug and Thorough, man. We've got stuff on Spotify. We got videos on YouTube. I'm still doing it now. Studio. I just put the studio back up, man. I haven't recorded all pandemic. I got 400 tracks sitting there. But even if I don't, man, I keep going, man. I don't write. I just throw it on, man, and just feeling, man. So that's what I love to do, bro. And that's why I think I'm good at the marketing aspect, because a lot of people don't. The best marketers and salespeople are the people who do music. I feel like those are the creatives, the ones that are doing like that think outside the box. They're going to be more than that job description. It's going to challenge the why, because we have to do it anyway. If I want to break into music, I got to come up with a way to be different from every other. It's 40 rappers on my block alone.
Right. No doubt about it. Real talk.
You know what I mean? So how can I do that? And that's why I love the marketing aspect. And if you translate that to business, it's all the same thing, man.
Dig it.
All the same thing.
Yeah. Dude, really, really amazing stuff, man. So great. So great. So one of the things that we sort of both hinted around is talking about our youth, right? Our young people. And, one thing I hear that's consistent in what you're sharing is you're committed to making a difference, man. You're committed to being someone who leaves a legacy, someone who people want to look back and say, man, that Jarrett dude, man, like he was real, man. Like he showed us how to do this. Like this guy did really amazing things. So when you look at maybe what I shared and what you see for yourself. What do you see that's missing for our young people to see the possibilities that are available to them, and what they could actually accomplish for themselves? What do you see is missing that would make a difference?
I think it's the connection of I think what we mentioned earlier, man. Like when I was young, man, I'll be honest with you, I was in the streets, I was stuff like that. I never even thought about sales or marketing or business or any of that stuff. That wasn't even on my radar. But you know why it wasn't on my radar? Because nobody close to me was doing it.
That's right.
Nobody in my family was doing it. Nobody I knew, nobody I could touch was doing it. So when I actually got in the industry, I felt like it even more like of an outcast and things like that. So I feel like we need the representation to be like, man, I am you. And I'm not just some guy who did this or whatever. I'm like not in upstate New York. Like I'm still in the trenches. I'm still in Parkchester. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because I love it. That's what keeps me alive, man. Because I see my brothers out here, and I know what my brothers are doing, man. But they see me out here, and they get a grin on their face. Yo, JT, I'm about to do something too. I'm about to get this album out. I'm about to start the podcast too. Can you help me with it? Like that's the stuff I love, bro. So I think they need to see that. They need to see somebody succeeding. They need to see Black entrepreneurship or whoever they resonate with, to be like, man, I came from you, man. I was on the block. I used to sell this. I used to do this. I was really stupid stuff. And then look how I changed, just to see an example. And if you see that example, it'll change your life. Because I'll keep it real, which I'll tell you a quick one. But that's what changed my life. When I was like, besides my child, I was out with my cousin. He's a big mentor of mine. He does construction, has his own business. He has multiple businesses. Tells me to come out to Cancun. He's buying $5,000-$10,000 bottles legally. I'm looking at him like,
okay.
What's up with you, fam? What the hell are you doing again? Like, I don't know what he's doing. And just see that lifestyle, that exposure to that. Same way if you get exposed to a new country, a new something, right? That exposure gives you so much, man. So I think we need to see that. And we need to expose the youth, man. We expose them, they're going to see it, and they're going to change the game. They're going to change the world.
Yeah, I agree, man. I totally agree with you. For me, the biggest impact for me growing up were athletes, and you can see why a lot of kids, especially Black kids, are always aspiring to be athletes and rappers, right? And there's this big movement right now, this big push, and I think you and I are a part of that, is getting young Black kids to see themselves as CEOs of their own companies, right? Starting out in a place like sales and marketing. Like, dude, when I first got into real estate sales a long time ago, the company I worked for is a national builder. I was the only Black person on the sales team out of about 35, 40 people. That was it. That was a space, and there was so much money to be made in that space. And it was a space that we had no idea even existed. You had a lot of Black people that were doing general real estate, right? Going around getting clients and listing homes and selling homes and things like that. It's a ton of people that were doing that, but nobody was working for these big builders, where essentially you sit on site, the builder does all the marketing and advertising, they drive leads to you, all you got to do is sell the home. Now, I'm not saying it's that super easy, but it's like, you know what it is. Like, if somebody's going to give you a lead, bro, I'm halfway home, right? All I got to do is tote the pill across the goal line, Creating your own lead out of something cold is something different. So, so I didn't really see anybody. And it's so interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine. I actually interviewed him for the podcast. He just got promoted to Chief Financial Officer. What's up, Rob? Shout out to Rob. Yes, sir. And, seeing him, he told me, he said, man, I didn't say this on the air. He said, but I really wanted to. He said, dude, when you work with the company that we met at, he was the assistant controller back at that time. And which was a big deal back then, being a Black guy, being a controller, right? Assistant controller. And he said, bro, I saw the way you navigated and the way you handled yourself in the situation. He said, I peep my head into y'all sales meetings all the time. And he said, you was it, bro. He said, you carried yourself with this confidence. You had a swag about you. Like, you weren't shaking. You expressed what you had to say. Like, you weren't afraid to say what you had to say. You ain't back down to nobody. And he said, man, that inspired me, bro. He said, I want to let you know, man, you were an inspiration to me, man. And I said, Rob, you know what's so interesting about what you just said? I didn't see myself that way.
So real.
And he was like, really? I said, I didn't, bro. I was just surviving. I was doing what I felt like I needed to do to be successful.
That's it. Yep.
I just had to make it work. And so it was so inspiring to hear him say that, man. And it meant a lot to me. So fits right into what you're saying. Like, what you see, man, what you see as examples before you, bro, make a huge difference. So thank you for being that, man, and for blazing new trails, really, and changing the game and what it looks like to be successful, man. Because there's a lot of money in sales, man. Like, bro, a lot of money.
A lot of money, man. But I think that's even, if you want to unpack this for a little while, you being the only Black employee in that room, I think something that youth need to hear is, how did you navigate that? Like for me too, like without the college background, anything like that, what is not enough? What is true street? You're masking. You got the mask on. You're trying to be cool with everybody. You're trying to do this, and you're trying to please everybody. And it's so hard to navigate on top of worrying about your quota and your sales and everything else you have to deal with. So I just want other professionals that aren't Black just really understand what that feels like, being the only one. Because I was like that at a place too, 300 people organization. I was with one. I was off only at one, man. And it just felt crazy to me. Everybody liked me. Everybody, we see the communal thing. We get caught together and all that other stuff. And it's like, damn, man, but I got to be somebody different. I can't be my full self. If I got a problem or issue with something, I got to tread lightly. If I'm asking for Zoom info, I got to have receipts and show them what exactly we can do and how much revenue we're going to generate from this investment. Like all these different things that I feel like other professionals don't deal with, man. So for all my people coming up, that's why I feel like being authentic is the key to be, because it just relieves so much stress of, I don't have to fake. I have to mask. I don't have to, hey, Charlie. No, man, what's up, baby? Good? Okay? Let's do it. And this is how I talk. And this is, if you accept it, you accept it. We can be professional. Everything is professional. Yeah, I'm not going to never disrespect you, anything like that. But this is who I am. And it just relieves that. Now I can focus on work. That's the best thing. So focus on your work, and that's where you be successful, man. So just alleviate that burden from your mind, people. Like that's what we had to go through. I had to cut my hair to be successful. Like I was a top seller in the place, had braids down my back. They bring me up to the room. They're like, Jarrett, man, we love you, man. You're doing great. I'm like, yeah, man, what's up, man? It's almost the end of the day. I'm trying to get out of here. He's like, man, end of the day, so I'm thinking I'm getting fired too, so I'm a little nervous.
Like, hate them end of the day talks, man. Hey, come on in the office for a minute. Oh, Lord, what you want to talk about? Hey, early morning, and late afternoon. I hate them kind of meetings. You know what I'm saying?
I hate that conversation, bro. So I'm sitting there looking at him. I'm like, man, so what's up? He's like, man, so look, we have this new position. We love you. The problem is the board doesn't know you. I'm like, what? What do you mean the board doesn't know me? Like, they see my numbers. I'm doing my thing. I see them. I say good morning and all that stuff. But like, maybe it's your appearance. And they literally told me it was my appearance. Like, I came from Catholic school. I had baggy slacks on with Prada shoes and, the big, button-up shirts and stuff, not fitted. I was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just trying to fit in.
That's all you knew,
That's all I knew. So basically, he's like, man, your appearance. I went home that day, cut my hair, man, went straight to the barber. Had my hair since I was 7th grade, man. It was part of me, part of my appearance. Cut my hair and came back on Monday, got a $10,000 raise.
Are you serious?
That's the BS that happened. Facts.
Wow.
So that's the stuff that I've had to deal with. That was my first job. The same one I was like, I'm going to be a top seller. It was that job. So imagine that, man. I'm bringing in $250,000, $250K a quarter, and you're worried about my braids, bro. Like, that's what we were dealing with back in the day. So that's why I refuse to be anything other than myself, man. Because if we don't say anything, if I didn't allow that, if I'd have stood up, but on the flip side, if I would have stood up and said, I'm not doing that, I wouldn't be here today. So you have to pick and choose your battles very wisely, especially in this industry, being a Black professional, man. So any youth hearing that, pick and choose your battles, still be yourself, but stand on your morals and your principles. Stand on what you stand on.
No doubt. Yeah, and I think that, you can see a lot of movement being made around that too, Jarrett. There are a lot of companies that are investing in they call the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. I don't like to get into names and titles and labels and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm about action. Like, what actions are you taking, right? You can put a name and label on all you want to. So there are companies who are making commitments to have more people of minority be in there. So I just want to acknowledge the companies that are doing that out there, that are really committed and invested in that. Thank you for what you're doing, because it really makes a difference.
I will piggyback on that though, bro, but I want to be super honest about this, especially for our youth, man.
Yeah, for sure.
The DEI initiatives and all the things that they're doing, there's a lot of people doing a lot of amazing work, but still, it's still some way to go. Like, think about all these layoffs. I'm not thinking about who's with anybody else, Snapchat. How was diversity taken into all these layoffs? Who's asking that question? You know what I mean? So I feel like DEI is something that's there to be cool and to look cool. But what are we really moving the ball forward? Are we really addressing the real issues that are impacting other races, other nationalities? Are we making a safe space for everybody? Because there's still people dealing with the same stuff we're talking about. There's a brother cutting his hair right now to go back on Monday.
Facts.
How do we deal with that?
Facts. Yeah, you're right. And I think one of the ways we deal with it, which is one of the things I'm committed to, is developing new leaders.
That's it.
When you have people that look like you and me in the boardrooms and in the executive suite, who are willing to stand up and say, hey, we need to look at this maybe a little bit differently. right? Yeah. Because there are some of us that are in those boardrooms, but they're not willing to have the courage to stand up and say something.
That's
right.
Real.
That's different. So that's one way I think we can attack it, man. Beautiful,
great
bro.
Call.
Beautiful.
Great call.
Yes, indeed. All right, man. Bro, this has been a great conversation. Let's see. What can we talk about next? Okay. So one of your biggest failures, one of the things I love asking people on the podcast is talk about one of your biggest challenges. And I shouldn't say, well, it's a failure. And some people say, maybe I shouldn't use the word failure because some people say, well, I don't see them as failures. Like you see it as lessons, right? So what is something that you were not successful at? I'll leave it like that. And how did you navigate your way through that? And what did you learn from that falling?
All right. So I say the toughest period in my career, bro, was when I was a VP at a Halo Group. It was an agency. So that was maybe 2 jobs after my first one. I went to AfterCon. I wanted to go to the agency side, use my creativity, be a part of the sales team and do all that stuff and lead a multi-million-dollar agency. So I had that opportunity. 4 months into it, I'm getting a big deal. Me and the CEO get into it over commission because I actually had to fight and claw for this deal and all this stuff. So I basically quit right there on the spot. And in the way New York works, if you quit on your job, you get no unemployment. So I had I had a little nest egg that I'm thinking is good, but me being a young professional, I'm like, I'm a VP of business development and I'm 27, 28 years old. They're going to scoop my ass right up.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That was my mindset, man.
Right.
Wrong. All I heard, I must have went on 50 interviews, man. People were like, man, why you were there for such a short time? Why you were there for such a short time? I explained the fact that I had a discrepancy and I had to stand on my morals and principles because of my commission. And nobody wanted to hear it. I get to the last stage and we went with somebody else. Long story short, we got to the last stage, bro, of this one company. I'm in Atlantic City one day, last $200 to my name. I told this story on my pod. Last $200 in my name, man. My mom and dad, they threw trips. They wanted me to go there. I'm like, I don't want to do it. They bring me out there, whatever. I put $200 on a blackjack. What else I got to lose, man? Let me see if I can turn 2 to 4 for them all.
Right.
Lost. Boop. Lost it, bro. I'm in the middle of Caesars Casino in Atlantic City in tears. Wow. Not $1 to my name, man. It's a Saturday. My girl's there. My family's there. I'm just like, yo, I don't want to. Y'all leave me alone, y'all. 10 minutes later, I kid you not, I get a call from a recruiter on a Saturday. Never happened in my life, bro. On a Saturday, Aaron Menken, shout out to you if you ever hear this, bro. Hit me up. It's like, man, I'm not supposed to tell you, but you got the job. It's between you and somebody else, but they're going to offer you both the positions. You got it on Monday. Congratulations. Same day, bro. So that's like crazy. At that moment, I was like, man, so what the lesson I learned there, man, is never overestimate your value, first of all. Like you know what I'm saying? You got to know your worth. Yeah. It's very important to be confident, things like that, man.
True.
But it just showed me what it was, man. And I'm grateful for it because through all those interviews, I got so strong. So by the time I got the right one, it took 49 no's to get to that one yes, man. And when I got that yes, it was right on time. Right on
That's
time,
beautiful,
man.
Bro.
So that was a real story, man. I was like, holy crap. And right after that, shortly after, my girl got pregnant and had my second child, man. And then it was crazy.
Nuts, man. That's nuts. Sometimes it's just a matter of just being patient, man, and just sitting tight and standing on, like you said, standing on what you believe in and what you believe is right, and just waiting for the right opportunity to come along, man. Because if you're patient and you control the things you can control, let the things go that you can't control, it'll come your way, man. And I found it to be true throughout my entire career. I've been laid off a couple times in my career, and there's been some tough times. I've lost a lot of money. I lost houses, cars. I lost a lot. And, there's all kinds of lessons in that, man. It taught me to be able to deal with tough situations in a way that was, and you talk about creativity, man, talk about being creative, bro. When you get your back against the wall, boy, you find ways to make things move, right?
You find out who you are.
You find out who you are. That's right.
How bad you want it.
Exactly. Really great, man. So one of the questions that I really enjoy hearing guests answer, man, is, we all have people that contribute to who we become in life, the successes that we have, and even sometimes some of the failures. We both grew up, sound like in similar situations, way up in New York and way down in Louisiana, it's like the close-knit community, friends, and the influences that we had around us. And we both had choices to make, right? We could have very easily gone in the other direction, bro, and we wouldn't be right here today, right?
For sure.
So I want you to take an opportunity, man, to really look in your life and see who has inspired you. I know you talked about your dad earlier, had a big impact, watching his work ethic and his commitment to his family, making sure that you guys were okay. Who else would you give credit to, man, for being inspiration for you and maybe mentoring you in some way?
Yeah. So definitely, I can't leave Mama Love. I should kick my as a Mama Love. I love
you better put Mom in there, bro.
I love you, Mama. But two people who were instrumental in my success, actually three people. One was Chris Hart. Shout out to Chris Hart. He was the CRO at iPull Rank, and he was my go-to on all calls at the agency. So all the stuff that was coming in, he was the SEO expert, and I learned so much from this dude. And he's the one who gave me the job. He introduced me to CEO. So had he not gave me the introduction, because we worked at another job, I got fired, long story short, for the transition. And he pulled me aside, said, man, if I ever get an opportunity to bring you somewhere, I'm gonna scoop you right up, bro. A year and a half later, man, the opportunity arose. I happened to be in between jobs. He introduced me to the CEO of iPull Rank, man, and it was there, and I learned so much from him. So Chris, if you hear this, man, I love you. Shout out to Ken Gibbs too. Ken Gibbs was the VP of BET. So when I started to be the personal branding, I seen him at a conference. He ignored me for 6 months, bro. I ended up sending him an automated happy birthday message because he was on stage and I just was inspired by him. I sent him happy birthday. He hits me with a message. My executive assistant is going to send you a calendar invite. You get 30 minutes one time a month, and we're going to do X, Y, Z. I said, what? The VP of BET?
Wow.
Mama.
Exactly. Mama, I made it. I made
it. Somebody took, and he's a brother. A brother took a shot on me. And then it was those conversations that shaped everything for me. And also shout out to, and that's my brother to this day, man. Like our kids link up with each other, man. Our families are integrated. Like it's love, like it's awesome, love. And shout out to Solomon Choi, CEO of 16 Handles. He's the other person who gave me a shot, man. So I interviewed him and I was so moved by his message of how he built his business. I just hit him up right afterwards. I'm like, bro, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it meant to like me and Ken talk for 30 minutes. Can I get 15, 20? And I just want to learn from you, man. He was like, yo, done deal. And to this day, man, like we go once a month, man, we'll go link up at a bar, we'll go link up in person, we'll do a virtual, and we'll just talk about the business, man. I'm getting a business, like a Harvard Review business class every time.
Sounds like it.
And then I'm just so grateful for them dudes. So the amount of stuff I learned, man, and that gives me the confidence. So, man, how I'm being scared of a prospect. I'm talking to Solomon Choi. He had 70, 80 locations and started it from scratch, man. And we talking real intricate business details, man. I'm not afraid to talk to you. You know what I mean? We're gonna do this or not.
Seriously, yeah, that's true. And I think that's powerful, man. I mean, I think that's also something that is a huge advantage, and you just really laid it out. When you have access, right? It's about access, man. When you have access to people who are in those types of positions to have those types of high level conversations, man, it's like, what do you fear now? Like you just talked to the CEO of Nabisco or whoever it might be that gave you 30 minutes of their time, right? Like I got a buddy of mine who was supposed to be my first person on my podcast. Tread, you need to get on the podcast. He just got promoted to chief executive officer of Ford Motor Credit in London, in the UK. It's a brother, man. And he was my roommate. We went to college together. This is my dog. And, having access to conversation with someone like him, he's a wonderful guy, man. Father, family man, you know what I'm saying? Great husband. And, his son probably doesn't appreciate it right now. His dad's a CEO. He can't appreciate what he has in his hands right now. But, the fact that you can have a conversation with someone like that at a young age, man, that's why I think it's so important to have people in your circle that can put you in those types of conversations, man, because it builds confidence. Like, right? Like I said, who would you be scared to talk to now? For what? We're doing business or not? I know what my value is. I know what I bring to the table. That's huge, man.
And really that's great. It, man. And it cost them nothing. It cost them absolutely nothing. So that's how it gets reciprocated, man. So that's why if somebody asks me, I got to give it back because somebody gave it to me, man. And it's just like, man, that confidence. When Ken gave me that moment of his time, man, what parked in my brain was, what's next?
Right.
What's next? What's next? What else can you do? How can you push the limits, JT? How can you do this? And
that's right.
And it all happened, man. It was that confidence. Right. So shout out to those brothers, man. That was at the first 2 weeks of the personal branding, bro. So had I not had that confidence, I might have had it too. Like, man, this ain't working. Do this.
you might have a 3-piece on right now.
You know what I mean? Talking about, man, I had a 3-piece on with a derby, with the deep ice derby.
Right. Exactly. And and what's also pretty cool, man, is that when you actually talk to a lot of these people, whether it's males or females. I mean, there's lots of females that are in executive positions too, in senior leadership positions. Dude, they want to be a contribution. Like they love to help other people, man.
Would love to.
And so I think that we need to take advantage and leverage that, bro, as much as we can.
Yep. What best thing I've learned is they tell us all the time. Not enough people ask, and most people are afraid to make the ask. People are like, "Yo, JT, how do you get guests for the podcast?" Yo, I just jumped in his DM. Like for the CEO of Revolt, I give you a quick story, bro. Like somebody I was connected with liked one of his posts. I didn't even know he was the CFO or the CRO. And I just connected with him instantly. I'm in the crib on a Saturday. I'm like, yo, baby, I'm going to get him. I got to get him. Went right in the room, 30-second video, and sent it to the brother. Like, I'm Jarrett Thomas from the Bronx, bro. I aspire to be somebody like yourself. I got 2 kids, man. I'm trying to come up. I did these interviews, man. I'm just trying to do something, man. I'm trying to do something different. Yeah. Came back the next day, almost immediately. Little bro, I got you. Just tell me a date. And the day we scheduled it was the day he was promoted to CEO. You can't even
write it that way.
You can't write it that way. The exact same day. I'm literally, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. The interview's at 1 o'clock. And I see it on LinkedIn. Big announcement, CEO Revolt, Detavia. I'm like, I'm about to interview dude. Like, I'm getting it before Ad Week and all of them.
Right.
He could have easily said, yo, little bro, today's a big day for me. I can't even come rock with you right now. Let's reschedule for another month out. He showed up 5-10 minutes early. Like, King, what up, baby? You good, King? Wow. And we just, so those are the stories that have to be, because that's so real. That says a lot about his character. He's talking to Diddy. He's running a multi-million-dollar business. You don't need to be talking to the SEO dude from the Bronx that you're not doing business with.
Right.
Shout out to my brother, man. Shout out to everybody who's ever rocked, man. Like, I've got so much love for you guys. Like, it's hard to explain, man. And it's just making the ask.
Just making the ask, bro. That's dope. So Jarrett, one of the things you've done so well, man, is really build your podcast following. So I want to just talk about, more than a title podcast you have. And you mentioned earlier, it's my podcast. I own the content. I can do whatever I want to do with it. I think that's critical. Yeah, same thing with me in creating mine. This is all my stuff, right? I pay somebody to work to do my editing, and that's a wrap. It's my stuff. I own the content. So a podcast is a really great way to get your personal brand out there. And you've done an amazing job with your podcast, man. So shout out to you. Big ups for that, bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
How do you utilize, the podcast from a technical perspective, from a creative perspective? Like, what do you do with your podcast to really make it fly and to make it successful?
So I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm gonna tell everybody out there too. I don't have any rhyme or reason. First of all, for anybody listening, it's More Than a Title. It's unscripted. So the reason why I came up with the title of More Than a Title, because obviously we all more than a job description. I don't care about this. I care about the person. And I feel like there's more lessons in the actual story versus you telling me, you do this in SEO and you do this in content, it's going to perform like this. That's a very niche audience. But if you slept in your car for 6 months, you know what I mean, to bootstrap your company, and how you did that, how you survived, and you had 2 kids, like, that's what I want to hear. That's the real story. No, that's what I wanted to hear and wanted to have, man. So I tell everybody who's been a guest, man, I don't give you no script. I don't have you nothing. I just want to press the live button. I want to get to know you. Tell me your story, and let's just rock. Let's vibe together. And it's been like that, man. And the audience, the reason why it goes like the analytics, is because I go direct to consumer with LinkedIn Live. So those are listening. LinkedIn Live is still like in beta for like creators. So not everybody has access to it unless you're very consistent or they looking at you, whatever. But I have 16,000 followers, I could press the button and now they're all getting a notification on their phone that I'm going live. So I'm going direct to consumer. So that allows me so much different things. And then obviously, I got it on YouTube, Facebook, all these other places, Spotify and all the other places, streaming services. But I just try to be as authentic as possible because that's what's not going on. Everybody's so scripted. Everybody's so this. Talking to a lady today, she gave me the script. She's like, sometimes getting them to be themselves. I'm like, why they're not themselves? Because they already know the answer. Now, if I throw a curveball at you, what are you going to do? Now we just talking. Now it doesn't, like 10 minutes in, and we forgot we were recording. We just talking like a regular Zoom, and that's how man. Like the cool one, like one story that was really cool that I didn't know, and I don't even do research on people most of the time. I'll just look and see what's up. Like, I seen you on LinkedIn. I think you're doing cool stuff. I want you on. So again, shout out to Walter. The dude created skippable pre-roll ads. He created the skip ads button. And he's from the Bronx. Yeah, Walter Gear, bro. He basically broke down how he did that and how he created that and patented it, but the business owned it, how the business worked. And he's like, man, if I read my contract, I'd be sipping pina colada somewhere. And he was just so transparent about it because he wanted us to know. And then come to find out in that conversation, he used to live on the same block as my grandma. He used to do this, he used to do that. And we were so similar, bro. And I'm sitting there on the podcast like this. Like you know what I mean? Jaw dropped, like
it's like in awe.
You were just a fired, cool ass dude I wanted to interview. And then hearing that story and seeing a brother do that. So that's why I like the unscripted content. As far as distribution, I put it out all the places, but I hate self-promotion. I'll be honest with you. I hate self-promotion. I think how I get the people to view is just being real, talking to people, going into late night. I know who my audience is. Those are the ones who are going to support, buy the merch. You got, your 25, your 50 people that you rock with that you know is going to rock. And they amplify your message. And if you keep and that's how you build community. Turns from 55 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80. And before you know it, man, you can monetize. And once you get the audience, you get the leverage. And once you get the leverage, you get the opportunities. And that's what it's all about, man. You get 1 million subscribers on this or on my joint, bro. We selling that to Apple. We selling that to Spotify. I'm giving that to my kids. I'm creating the network. I'm creating different areas of content. And there's so many areas. It affords you opportunities and leverage, man. So anybody listening, people be knocking the personal brand stuff. They be like, people are influencers and all that. But guess what? In 2 years from now, you're not going to be able to sell against me in Bradford. You're not going to be able to. We're going to have so much equity built up in the network where unless you have the creme de la creme product that they need right now, if my thing could closely do what yours do, I'm beating yo every day because of that relationship and because I know them and they genuinely know I care. So get in the game now, guys, because 2-3 years from now, LinkedIn and all these places, that's going to be your resume. You're not going to be sending a resume. They're going to be looking at your posts, who's engaging, who's in your black book. Remember back in the day, they used to ask you who's on your black book, who you got.
That's
They used to ask that in the interviews. They don't ask it now.
That's right.
I'll send them right to LinkedIn. Look at the comments. Like for right now, for interviews, I got the Hootsuite layoff thing. There's customers in there. There's colleagues. There's all that's 80 comments of like, yo, bro, I miss you. I love you, whatever. And it's just love. I don't got to tell you nothing, man. Look at it. The proof's there.
Just look. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I agree. I think that, and that's brilliant, man. I think that, my show, I send a questionnaire out like I did to you to give me some key points. But I mean, this whole time we've been basically just talking, right? Freestyle. I mean, we have a point we want to talk about, but then it just goes in a whole different, takes on a life of its own, which I love because I think that authenticity is something that's missing. I hate watching a podcast or listening to a podcast when you can tell that the whole conversation was set up and the whole conversation, like, I'm gonna ask you this, you're gonna get this answer. I'm gonna ask this. Like, man, we're human beings, man. Let people just be who they are, right? Just people be who they are, man. And when people are free, and that's one thing I love about you is that you're free, bro. And dude, when you have a life that's free, man, with that comes happiness, peace of mind, quality of life. Your relationships thrive. I mean, dude, there's so much that come with just being free.
That's it.
And that is one of the main things that I coach people in when I'm doing performance coaching with people is how do I get people free? And I found some really amazing ways to help people get free. And it sets a whole new life path for people. So, bro.
I would love to ask you, bro, because I get that a lot. And I would love to hear this from you. I think this is a great clip too, man. How do you help people get over imposter syndrome? Because that's the biggest thing I hear. Like when people like, man, JT, how do I build a brand? And it's what people think about is, what are people going to think about me? What are my colleagues? What are my future employer? What about my old employers? Will anybody listen? Does anybody care what I think? I'm just little old me. So how do you help people get over that? Because I try, and it's like so hard to articulate how I do it because it's natural. You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm curious, bro, if you could explore that, man.
I mean, for sure, bro. It's a process. It's so interesting that you bring that up because I was talking to my friend Robert, who's the chief financial officer, when I interviewed him, and we were talking off camera, and he was sharing with me. He said, "Dude," he said, "that's real. That imposter syndrome is really real." And so I get it, and I totally acknowledge what that feels like for people. So how I work with people on that is that. So I've done a lot of training and development around leadership development and really having people get free. I'm an introduction leader with Landmark, and I've done extensive training around this. And what Landmark teaches is that you look at your life we all look at our life through filters, right? Like we talked about earlier, people see life through a certain filter. Mm-hmm. And what that filter is an amalgamation of your experiences over the course of your life. So you see people a certain way based upon what you've experienced, what you've seen, things that happen to you. So the conversation in the Landmark Forum talks about, it's a conversation about distinctions. And so what I do is I help people distinguish things, what is and what's not, right? So a lot of what, even with Hootsuite, when I'm coaching people, it's one of the first things I do with people, because I know where people generally are just because they're human beings like me. We all have that automated machinery, that wiring that's just there. Like you think about something, it's just right there in your face. Like you don't have to do anything, right? I'm an imposter. It's just there. So you have to get people to separate, to distinguish what really happened. And you have to go back often to childhood, because that gets formed in that imprint period from ages 0 to 7. Who you become in life, a lot of it gets formed in that way, because things happen in your life, and we're meaning making machines. Like we give everything meaning. I mean, everything meaning, and we can't help it. It's just who we are. It's okay. Yeah. We're all doing it. So you give meaning to events that happen in your life. What happens is the events don't become real. What you made that event mean becomes your reality. And that's what you actually end up living your life about. If you just stay with what actually happened, your boyfriend just broke up with you. Doesn't mean that you're not a good person. Doesn't mean you're not a good mate. Doesn't mean that you're not lovable. It doesn't mean any of that. But that's what we latch on to. Yeah. What's wrong with me? Yeah. So when you can get people to really separate, hey, all that happened was they laid you off. They made a business decision. That's all that happened. They're not a bad company. They're not horrible. They're not terrible leaders. All that stuff you're making up about what happened because you're in your feelings. And I get that. But just separate the two. They're not the same. So there's one that's in reality, and there's one that's in this ultra reality that you made up for yourself to survive. We make it up to survive. That's one of the first things I do with coaching is get people free. Once people get free and they can see that and they're willing to see it for themselves, I don't ask people to believe anything I have to say. Don't believe me. Just try it on for yourself and see if it fits. If it doesn't, take it off, throw it in the trash. But when people when they sit and think about it, they're like, damn, dog, that's true. Hey, that's and when they get that, bro, something goes off and they start to get freed up and they can give up this whole idea about being an imposter. It's a made up story. It's not true. Right? So yeah, thanks for asking that question, man, and giving me an opportunity to sort of coach a little bit to the people that are listening.
No, that was real, man. Because I know you do your thing. You're great at what you do, bro. Like I've seen it firsthand what you've done, man. So like, thank you. To hear that, that's what I get all day, every day, And to give you guys stats, so anybody listening, right? So a big opportunity on LinkedIn, and why I choose that as the platform. Out of 722 million people on it, only 2 to 3% post daily because of imposter syndrome. Wow. Because we don't know what to say. We don't want to jump in. It's a big old party. It's about like 1 million of us. We're dancing, we're grooving, we're doing a Harlem Shake. We over here getting it. We getting business. Right. Everybody else watching like, damn, should I do it? Should I jump in? What does it feel like? But that's why the opportunity is so massive for somebody like myself, right? So if it's 2%, I would bet there's 0.1% person that's going to wear a hat, a hoodie, be African-American, be in sales and marketing, and be from the Bronx.
Right. And have a podcast.
And being like it's not going to, it's very rare. So I am the one that you see. So that's why it's the thing of choice. But once it's going to move soon, people are going to see yourself be successful, me be successful. And people are going to be like, man, I need to get in the game. And then when that happens, it's going to be creativity. Creativity is what's going to separate us and differentiate us in that market.
That's right. Beautiful, man. Really beautiful. Jarrett, last question I got for you, bro, before we wrap this thing up, right? and I kind of have a sense of what it's going to be like, but I want you to say it. I want to come out of your mouth, right? So when it's all said and done, brother, and you've done your time here on this earth, man, and you've made the impact you want to make, and you've made the difference with people, with kids, your family that you want to make. And it's time to be 6 feet under, bro. What do you want that tombstone to say about you, bro?
I did it my way. I did it my way, man. That's all I wanted to do, man. I did it the right way. I never hurt nobody. Like, I'm not perfect, man, but I never rob nobody. I don't do the wrong things, man. I'll go the long way if I have to. And that's what I've always done my whole life, man. I did it my way. So if anybody can attest to that, and anybody who's ever met me, they'll tell you, man, like, I'm the same person Monday through Sunday. What you see is what you
Dude, you just gave me some inspiration. I think I got to have the outro have that song in it. I did it my way.
That's it.
It's got to go out like that, right?
You can mix it in with the whole too. Had the whole verse.
Gotta do, bro. Hey, dude, Jarrett, man, incredible conversation, brother. I'm so appreciative for you being on the podcast, man. And is there anything else that you want to share with the audience? I don't want to find out. How do people find you? That's key. How do people find you? How do people follow you? How do people connect with what you're doing and all the creativity that you're creating out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as connecting, go on LinkedIn, Jarrett Thomas, Jarrett, Thomas, Thomas. You can also go on YouTube, More Than the Title. You go on the Facebook page, More Than the Title. I'm going to have a LinkedIn page up soon, More Than the Title. So anything like that, awesome. You can even Google it. We're searchable right now. So that's how you can connect with me. You can DM me. I answer. I have no automated messaging. I respond to everybody. I'm probably the most accessible person. You hit me right now. Bing, I'm on you. What's up, family? That's just how I am. So please let me know. Hook up with me, man. And I appreciate you, bro. I got to get you on my podcast. Awesome, I want to continue this conversation, bro. But it's always nothing but love, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing, man. For real. Always room for you.
My pleasure, brother. I appreciate you, man. And I'm going to be hitting you up because I need to grow my LinkedIn following. So you're going to help me out with that. We can exchange some services.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, bro.
Brother. Take care of yourself, man. Love you, bro.
You ain't know. Love you, bro.
All right. Peace.
This is Doris Brown's baby boy. We out.